Bradford City continued their 2025-26 League One campaign with an away clash against Gary Bowyer's at Burton Albion, and in today's video you're going to find out how both teams have got on so far this season and what my starting 11 would be for this game if I was Graham Alexander. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, then make sure to like, comment and subscribe. But my team Bradford City, we currently sit 4th in the League One table. After 38 matches, we've got 19 wins, 8 draws and 11 defeats, where we've scored 48 goals and also conceded at 42. That leaves us on a positive 6 goal difference and at 65 points. Our last couple of matches then have been a draw, a loss, a win and a loss. So not great form for us at this moment in time. Just 7 points picked up from our last 5 matches. We know that traditionally Bradford City haven't been great away from home in 2026, but we've also now obviously dropped points in our most recent game at home, and that was obviously on Tuesday night where we got a 1-1 draw at home to Mansfield Town, where I thought we played quite well, to be honest. We were very unlucky not to win this game, just didn't quite get the look, didn't quite get the rub of the green. Fantastic goal from Tyreek Wright, who really has stepped up in 2026. Their goal was very scrappy and there was a lot of fortune about it, and for some reason the stats are not wanting to load, but it was their only shot on target, which was incredibly disappointing to concede that. The stats don't seem to want to load, so we'll move on then to our 2-0 defeat away at Wigan Athletic, where we were awful in this game, deservedly beaten. They didn't really offer much. There was a lot of time wasting and ball out of play, but from where they are in the table at this stage in the season, it's all about getting 3 points, and again it's another away game where Bradford City have really not done ourselves any justice. We also though had a fantastic 2-0 win away at Port Vale. Absolutely outstanding in this game, total domination. We had 33 shots in this match, but the stats are actually going to load on this occasion. Total domination from Bradford City, absolutely brilliant, and hopefully we can put on a similar display to this one in this upcoming game against Burton. We also had a 2-1 win at home to Leyton Orient despite a disgraceful referee on that day. Obviously Aidan Baldwin was sent off. Thankfully he's going to be back for this game against Burton, but Anthony Sarsfield again showing how important he is to Bradford City with another couple of goals. And we also had a 2-1 defeat away at Reading. Even now, nearly a month on from this game, I've no idea how we managed to throw it away. We brought a centre-back for an attacking midfielder in the 89th minute and just capitulated in added time. So yes, incredibly frustrating. We've done that a couple of times last season, we've done it again this season, and it just never gets any easier when it happens. Compared though to Burton Albion, they currently sit 18th in the League One table. After 38 matches, they've got 11 wins, 10 draws and 17 defeats, where they've scored 42 goals and also conceded 53. That leaves them on a minus 11 goal difference and 43 points. Their last couple of matches then have been a loss, a win, a loss, a draw and a loss. So not great form for Burton at the moment, but when you look at the bottom 6 teams in this division, there is a lot of very poor teams. Well, it's actually bottom 7. There's a lot of teams that aren't really picking up many points. Recently though for Burton, they had a 2-1 defeat at home to Reading on Tuesday night. Fantastic goal from Evans. Arguably an even better goal from Kamari Doyle, and then Reading eventually ended up winning the game in the 88th minute. So Burton didn't really do us a favour on Tuesday, with Reading being one of those teams that are trying to catch Bradford City and push us out of a playoff place. So hopefully they can do us a favour again and let us have the 3 points this time on Saturday. But it seemed like a pretty even game where Burton weren't quite clinical enough in that final third, but Reading have got the job done, and goals is all that does matter. They also had a 2-0 win away at Burton, away at Northampton, sorry. Jake Beasley finding himself on the score sheet. Obviously strong rumours Bradford City tried to sign him in January, and we ended up with Ethan Wheatley and Paul Mullin. In terms of the stats then for this game, did seem like again quite an even affair, but Burton did slightly edge it, and again they were more clinical. Big relegation 6-pointer, and that is a massive 3 points for Burton. They also had a scrappy 1-0 defeat at home to Stevenage. Jamie Reid scoring the only goal of the game in that one. And looking at these stats here, it was a pretty deserved defeat in the end for Burton. Hopefully we can put on something similar like this, allow Burton to have the ball and let them create very little, because obviously they are one of only 2 teams to beat Bradford City at Valley Parade this season, although our team that day was incredibly hit by injuries. They also had a 1-1 draw away at Exeter. They went ahead in the game but weren't able to see it out for all 3 points. Looking at the stats from this one, Exeter were probably slightly the better of the 2 sides, so I think Burton will be relatively pleased with that point, and they also had a 3-0 defeat away at Wycombe. No real shame in losing away at Wycombe. They are a pretty decent side, to be fair, although looking at the stats, they didn't create loads in this game. The Burton goalkeeper is someone that I've been heavily critical of over on more SHD, so you just know that means he's going to have an absolute masterclass against Bradford City. He's chucked in a lot of goals this season for Burton. If it wasn't for him, I think they'd be a lot higher up in the table. Before we do go any further though with today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, can we try and hit 150 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your score prediction for this match. What would your starting 11 be as well? Would you make any changes from Tuesday's draw at home to Mansfield? It's been quite a while since I've spoke about Bradford City drawing. I don't think we've drawn this year, have we? In terms of my team then for this game, I have gone with a fair few changes. Now I would stick with the 3-4-2-1 formation, but I think recently we've seen a little bit of fatigue creep into the game of a fair few players, and certain players have played a lot of minutes recently. And I know that we don't have a midweek game after this one against Burton, but I think with Burton being a very tight, narrow pitch, we're going to need to go with a bit more of a different game plan. They're not a play out from the back type of team. The high press is not really something you're going to see in this one. We're going there for a battle, and we have to be more alert to not just focusing on ourselves and what we do. You know, we have to take into account other factors, like you're going away to Burton, they're scrapping for their lives. We are going down there for a scrapping goal. For me, I would go with Sam Walker. It was nice to see him not be at fault for one of the goals that we've conceded. Obviously, there's nothing that he can do about the goal that Mansfield do score. I did see a few people criticising him for it, but when it takes that deflection from, I think it's Sweeney originally as a shot off of Adebayo's shot, then there's nothing that Sam Walker can do. There's 3 or 4 other players that should be doing a lot better before it does eventually trickle over the line, but hopefully he can keep a clean sheet in this game. In terms of my back 3 then, at right centre back, I would bring in Aidan Baldwin. Obviously has missed the last 3 games through suspension. I think he'll still have to be wearing his protective mask. I'm not sure how much longer he'll be wearing that for, but even in the game against Leyton Orient, it didn't really seem to be affecting him all too much, and we know how important he has been for Bradford City so far this campaign. We are without a doubt a much better side with him in the team. In the middle of my back 3, I would go with Joe Wright. Obviously not a player that we've seen start for Bradford City for quite a while, but I think again, when you're going away to Burton, you know you're going to be in for a scrap. They've got a big physical striker in Jake Beasley. This is the perfect sort of game to bring in somebody like a Joe Wright, because we don't need Baldwin in the middle. Those diags out to our wing backs are going to be very ineffective in this game with how small that Burton's pitch is. So let's go with defenders first and have Joe Wright in the middle for this one. But again, if Pennington starts, I have no complaints with that. Just also about freshening things up. Completing my back 3 at left centre back then, I would go with Curtis Till. I thought had, again, defensively a pretty solid game against Mansfield on Tuesday, but he's certainly not a middle centre back to play when Aidan Baldwin is not there in terms of in possession, because them diagonals that he does, they're always either too short or out of play. Unfortunately for Curtis Till, his passing range is a bit of his limitation, but again, he's strong, he's quick, he's a great defender. If he was then also a great passer, he'd be playing for Chelsea and not Bradford City. So every player obviously does have lots of pros, but also got a fair few cons as well, and that is unfortunately one for Curtis Till. But again, in terms of his pros, if anybody's going to deal with the threat of Jake Beasley, Curtis Till is that man. He obviously missed the reverse fixture through injury. In terms of my midfield 4 then, I have gone with a couple of changes for this game. Firstly, at right wing back, I would bring in Harrison Ashby. Obviously, Josh Nerfield has played a lot of football recently, and I would probably hazard a guess that he is in the top 2 or 3 most distant covered for Bradford City, because we almost abuse the right hand side when we're trying to attack with Josh Nerfield, but then defensively he also does work incredibly hard. And I think on Tuesday against Mansfield had 1 or 2 good moments, but on the whole just looked like he needed a bit of a rest. And obviously I think Ashby's only start for Bradford City has been away at Lincoln. On the whole, I haven't been massively impressed with Ashby so far, but give him a start away at Burton, give Josh Nerfield a bit of a rest, and let's see what he can produce. In terms of my 2 holding midfielders, firstly I would go with the captain Max Power. Now I thought again on Tuesday it wasn't his best performance in a Bradford City shirt. There was a fair few sloppy passes. His set pieces are really not good, and I think it's starting to get on the nerves of a lot of Bradford City fans. We seem to be very persistent on trying these short corners and different type of routines. When the odd corner we were putting straight into the box, it was causing absolute havoc for Mansfield, and I don't know why we don't just stick it in there more often. Football is won and lost by set pieces these days, and a lot of of time it's from just sticking the ball in the box, especially when you try and go short and you end up back at your goalkeeper 8 seconds later. But I would start Max Power in this one, because alongside him I would bring in Lee Evans. I think both Power and Metcalf are looking like they need a bit of a rest at this moment in time. As you know, I am Jensen Metcalf's biggest fan, but I thought again on Tuesday it wasn't his best performance, wasn't great against Wigan either. Obviously makes a big mistake, fought that second goal. So let's bring in Lee Evans. I think having the experience of Power and Evans, you're not necessarily going to need major legs in the midfield, because obviously it is quite a small pitch at Burton. I think Lee Evans has got a decent passing range on him. He's decent for a goal as well. Got a couple from his previous time at Bradford City and also throughout a few of his previous spells with other clubs at League One level. So I would like to see Lee Evans come in for this game, and I think it's the perfect opportunity to give somebody like a Jensen Metcalf a bit of a rest. And completing my midfield four then, at left wing back I would go with Tyreek Wright, who's really come into his own, come on leaps and bounds in 2026. Absolutely delighted for him to get yet another goal on Tuesday. He just seems to have so much confidence now to be taking 2 or 3 players on, shooting from 25 yards out and finding the bottom corner. Absolutely fantastic, and hopefully he can find himself on the score sheet yet again in this one. In terms of my front three then, firstly as my right attacking midfielder I would go with Anthony Sarcevic. I don't think he's been as effective for Bradford City over the last couple of games, but when you think about anybody potentially replacing him in this side, nobody has that quality of an Anthony Sarcevic, and obviously I'm pretty sure he played the full 90 minutes again on Tuesday, so he'll probably only get through 60-70 minutes in this one against Burton. You don't want to overrun him, but I would like to see him get the start once again in this one, just because of the sheer quality that we know Sars does have. As my left attacking midfielder I would go with Bobby Poynton, who I thought had a pretty good game on Tuesday against Mansfield, was trying things and got a little bit unlucky on the night, but I do think on the whole he had a pretty good performance on Tuesday. And completing my team then, as my striker I would go with Will Swan. Again, I thought he came on at half time on Tuesday against Mansfield and was really effective at going forward. Now, is Burton away the type of game for a Will Swan sort of striker? I'm not 100% sure, but I thought Ethan Wheatley was garbage on Tuesday, and there's a reason why he's been hooked at half time in back-to-back matches. There's surely not a clause in his contract which says he has to be starting a lot of games or a certain amount of games for Bradford City, or we've got to pay some sort of money, because that's what it just seems like at the moment, because he is nowhere near good enough to be starting week in, week out. Will Swan, as you all know, I'm a big fan of him, and I do think he is our best striker. I'm not a fan of Paul Mullin. We are desperate for Caden Jackson to come back from injury, but I don't think he's going to be back for another couple of weeks, and who knows, the season could potentially be done by then. Hopefully Swan can get back on the score sheet though in this one, because I think the last time he started a game, or maybe the last time he started an away game, he actually scored in. On the bench then for me, that would leave Joe Hilton, Josh Nerfill, Matt Pennington, Ibu Torre, Jensen Metcalf, Stephen Humphreys, and also Ethan Wheatley. The players currently unavailable are Nick Powell and Caden Jackson, so that means the players who missed out then through selection would be Kieran Kelly, Louis Sibley, Joe White, George Lapsley, and also Paul Mullin. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there then for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me, and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 150 likes, as I said at the start of today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your score prediction for this match. What would your starting 11 be as well? Would you make any changes from Tuesday's draw against Mansfield Town? Hopefully we can get back to winning ways in this one against Burton, because another defeat could be very damaging for Bradford City. But thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon for another one.